Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. 1. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. So Dana White spoke on Mayweather-Mcgregor and offers a deadline to get this thing moving. And I want to talk about what he said. He was on the Jim Rome show, CBS Sport Radio, and he says, and I quote, "I plan on having this thing locked up by this Sunday," which is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And then moving on to Team Mayweather and start to negotiate with them. If we really do get it done in that time frame, then this thing could possibly happen. Again, I still have to negotiate with them. There's no guarantee that we're going to come to a deal. And he talks about Canelo versus Golovkin happening September 16th, knocking him out of the slot that they wanted, but they did not reserve anything, right? I made a video about it. It says Canelo versus Golovkin KOs Mayweather versus McGregor date, and the video's up on the page. Dana White goes on to say, that was the date we were shooting for. I was doing an interview earlier and they said, well, the MGM says you haven't held the date. We hadn't held the date, but that's the date we were shooting for. I didn't see any big fights coming up that we couldn't have took the date from if they ended up with that date. Then they come with this Canelo and Triple G, which is a real fight. That's a fight I'll actually buy tickets for and go to myself. So yeah, life waits for nobody. We should have moved faster. We should have moved further along in the negotiation, and it's our own fault. I think the chances of a deal with McGregor are pretty good. Hopefully Monday, I'm going to sit down and negotiate with Team Mayweather. I just can't keep messing with this thing. I have to run my business and I have to focus on all the other things that are going on around here. So that's from Dana White. I want to give my thoughts. I'm kind of frankly sick of talking about this because to me, it seems like the biggest obstacle yet again is the UFC and Dana White. Because everything Mayweather said, he's his own boss, is fight me, fight me, fight me. He knows he's going to get a pretty penny no matter what, probably $100 million guaranteed to make this fight. He's probably confident in his ability that in the world of boxing, nobody can fuck with him. So at the end of the day, the hang-up seems to be on the UFC side. That's really what I see. Just because Floyd is his own boss, he knows how much he's going to get with this fight. It's really the UFC allowing their fighter to fight a fight where he would be an underdog, probably a massive underdog, in another sport, the sport of boxing, against this generation's best fighter. And Oscar De La Hoya himself, an Olympic gold medalist, who's also promoter for Canelo, who has that big September fight with Golovkin, he just said on ESPN First Take, he corroborated that. He said Floyd Mayweather is the best fighter of this generation. And most people with a brain believe that, right? He's outlasted everybody. He's beat people, including like the Pacquiao, who was considered fighter of the decade. So like Highlander, you inherit their power. But to me, everything I see, it really falls on the UFC. You still haven't even wrapped up negotiations with Conor, and now you're like, oh, we should have moved faster. We shouldn't drag our feet. Of course, Canelo and Triple G, they said it took 2 weeks to make. So using what they've told us, it only took 2 weeks to make that fight. This Mayweather-McGregor situation has been going on for months, right? Where it was known that they wanted to make the fight. On top of that, anytime a promoter is serious about making a fight, they reserve a venue. You know what I mean? They reserve the date with the venue and get that squared away. Like, hey, we got a big fight. We're just working at the particulars. But Dana White admits in this interview with Jim Rome, he says, well, the MGM says you hadn't held the date. And he says we hadn't held the date. But that's the date we were shooting for. It doesn't work like that. MGM, what if Britney Spears or some concert or Dave Chappelle or something, they want to come that date. MGM, they're about their money. They're one monkey don't stop no show. So they're going to move on to the next order of business. So if you were really sure, then you would have held the date like, hey, we could get this done. But to me, I don't think the UFC is sure that they want to do this and put the fight on with Conor McGregor in a fight where he'll probably lose. You know what I mean? Unless he pulls a rabbit out of the hat and Mayweather's old or something. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it seems to be, to me, that it's the UFC that's dragging their feet, because that is that is the tightrope walk right now, because Floyd knows what he's getting. He knows he's an A side. He dictates. He gets top billing. This would be Mayweather-McGregor. He knows all that stuff. So what is that? Where would the delay be on his side? The delay is how much of a split and cut is the UFC gonna get, and what are the particulars that you're putting your number one cash cow in the UFC, your number one star in there, in a fight that most people feel he will be sent to the slaughterhouse, or this could be a Mayweather versus Gotti style of fight. So to me, I think the dragging of the feet is purposeful. At first, if you hear what Dana White was saying initially, I don't think he wanted to make the fight at all, because he even said comments. You guys could Google it. A simple Google search will bring this up. The week before the Super Bowl, Dana White said something to the effect of, Mayweather-McGregor, not happening. We have a better chance of seeing me as starting quarterback for the New England Patriots over Tom Brady, right? He said that a week before the Super Bowl. So that's an indication right there that he didn't want to make the fight at some point. But then when he found out Conor McGregor was serious, or Conor kept pushing for it, and Conor started saying stuff and doing his own, he did that Q&A on pay-per-view and showing the power he has. Like, I'm a big star, you know what I mean? And he was also, at that time, Conor McGregor was saying stuff like, there's ways we could do this without the UFC's approval, but we want to include them and make this happen. So he's seen Conor McGregor was all too serious about making this fight, and then they probably realized, like, we can't prevent him from getting this type of money. There's no one we can match him with in the UFC. No one that's going to generate this interest, because even if you put him in with, like, let's say, I don't know, Anderson Silva or something, that just because of the weight, you know what I mean, and Anderson Silva hasn't been looking the same, it wouldn't make sense. You would have to do some kind of crazy circus fight, like even a George St. Pierre fight, but no one's seen him fight in a minute. He's been on this hiatus and long layoff. So fights like that, there's nobody, I can't think of one person in the UFC that would generate like triple digits, like 100 million for Conor McGregor, or anything close to that, right? There's some good fights in the UFC. Some people want to see a Jose Aldo rematch, just different people like that, but there's no one out there that's going to generate this, because it's such a weird fight. It's a hybrid fight with two sports, two premier trash talkers, and that's the thing. It's rare in fighting where you have two antagonists, you know what I mean? Two guys who kind of play the villain role, right? Usually, I mean, it happens sometimes, but a lot of times you have one person that's chill and another person just trash talking, and then they fight, and then we see what happens. But like Shane Mosley, when he fought Floyd was doing the bad mouthing. Floyd was like, oh, baby, it's okay. He was talking to his daughter. It's okay, baby. It's not our fault. Shane Mosley, he got a fake nose. Mr. Potato Head. Like, he was doing all that. Shane Mosley was saying little stuff, standing his ground, but he wasn't really trash talking like that, right? So this would be that. This is that. Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather, they're both polished when it comes to trash talking, saying quick one-liners and quick quips at each other and stuff like that. So to me, I just think it's the UFC. They're the ones that are dragging their feet. It's like walking on eggshells, because they know they're putting their number one earner in there with this generation's best fighter. So they want to make sure this deal makes everybody a whole lot of money, just in case what most people think happens, which is Conor McGregor taking a beating or an embarrassing loss, or getting stopped, or just overall losing to Floyd Mayweather. And they want to make sure that they're set and it was worth it, that they did it once and done and made a shit ton of money, for lack of better words. It's my thoughts. I just think Dana White, I mean, not securing a venue, that's like one of the first orders of business, you know what I mean, to RSVP and say, hey, we got this massive fight in a couple of months. We need to put this on hold. You know what I mean? People do that for a lot simpler things in this life. Like, let's say you're going to a very, very fancy 5-star restaurant. You might have to get reservations, call ahead seating and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it'd be no different in a multi-million-dollar, maybe even $1 billion fight. And when I'm talking about billion, I'm talking about like total earnings and revenue and stuff. You never know what this fight could do, because it's that weird. But I think it's the UFC that's dragging their feet. I don't think they want to make the fight, but I think it got to a point where Conor McGregor stood his ground, and they're like, we can't really prevent him from making this type of payday, because there's no one we can put him in, and he's going to be kind of disgruntled because there's no one we could put him with in the UFC. He's selling the show. He's beating the guys he beat, and it is what it is. You can put him in there with Nate Diaz in the trilogy. That'd be a good fight. Very good fight. Shout out to my dude Nate Diaz. Shout out to Stockton 209. But it's still, even though it would do good numbers for the UFC, it's not going to do what Mayweather, because he already fought him twice. You know what I mean? It's not going to do the same numbers, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Who is the holdup? Now Dana White saying he has till Mother's Day to wrap it up on the Conor McGregor side, come to an understanding, and then he has to talk to the Mayweather side. So we never know. I just wish they would expedite this and hurry up so we can move on to Canelo Golovkin or real fights that are going to happen if this is not going to happen, because it's just dragging out now. You know what I mean? And if it's an offer like Dana White said on the Colin Cowherd show or whatever show it was, where, okay, we'll give you $25 million, Floyd. He ain't gonna take that. Like I said, you have to be a fool. $25 million is great money for the average person, but you have to look at Mayweather, who Mayweather is, what he's earned, and his past numbers. If he earned $32 million guaranteed to fight Robert the Ghost Guerrero, right? Didn't even do a press tour with him and still got $32 million guaranteed. Why on earth would he take $25 million guaranteed to fight Conor McGregor, who is growing in popularity and becoming like a world level name? You know what I mean? He's from Ireland, so different demographic. That doesn't even make sense. Like, from any business, it doesn't make sense. It's like let's say you work at Blockbuster Video and they're paying you $20 an hour, and then Hollywood Video calls and they have less medical benefits and like a worse dental plan, and they say, hey, work for us, we'll give you $13 an hour. Like, why? The benefits and the insurance coverage is worse, plus it's less hourly. I mean, no one's gonna do that. That's stupid for a very like similar job. That doesn't even make sense from any standpoint in business. If you really put all emotion aside and look at just the business logistics, and most people know, you wouldn't take a possibly harder job or even the equivalent job for less pay than you took a job 2 years ago. That just doesn't make sense. It's like me shooting a video. If what I charged 2 years ago and then I improved and got better and upgraded my equipment, I'm not charging the same thing, because I made that when I was first starting. Let me know what you guys think. Who's the holdup? Will this fight happen? We don't know. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video. Like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video, is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.